We have ourselves a new whiskey brand alert, everybody. High and Wicked from founder Mr. W.L. Lyons Brown III. That last name Brown, not just a last name, but a link to the legendary brand Brown-Forman. Now, W.L. Lyons Brown worked for his family's company for 15 years before leaving for other endeavors, including High and Wicked. Well, his return to the whiskey game lives now in these 2 bottles of bourbon. Let's try these things. It's the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. Welcome back to the Mash and Drum. Like, subscribe, do all the things you need to do to help me grow the channel. Absolutely appreciate the support, everybody. Now, to these bottles. As I mentioned, W.L. Lyons Brown III left Brown-Forman 15 years ago. These are his and his brand called High and Wicked. Now, according to the press release, these are a culmination of a number of tastings, both blind and not blind, as well as scrutiny of every aspect of production, including mash bill, fermentation methodology, yeast strains, and barrel aging profiles. Let's see if it all worked out. So first one we're gonna try is their Sweet Mash Straight Bourbon. Here are the details. Distilled and aged and bottled in Kentucky, mash bill of 51% corn, 39% rye, and 10% malted barley. This is a sweet mash process, column distilled, aged for a minimum of 5 years in number 4 char American white oak barrels. 104 proof is the final bottling, which I love. Non-chill filtered. Price for this one, 80 bucks. Now, first thing I look for in new brands is transparency. I want to know what's in the bottle, what I'm sipping, where it's coming from. And, you know, one thing from High and Wicked so far that I like is I like the transparency, not only from the press releases, but all the stuff that you need to know on the bottle. Everything is stated, age, all the stuff I just read off, mash bill, everything, including this nice little high rye tag on the top of the bottle, as you see in the close-ups. But as a whiskey, you know, geek and nerd, and for anyone that's out there looking at all these new brands on the shelf, this to me is how you do it. You come out, you have a well-aged product, non-chill filtered, good proof point. You know, one thing I want to say is that marketing will generally sell you a lot of good bottles. Like, good marketing will sell you a lot of bottles. You know, there's no going around that. But if you don't have those huge marketing budgets that will draw in new drinkers or bourbon curious people that just, you know, are looking for the next big thing, all you have left is what's in the bottle. And when you don't have a huge marketing budget, when you can lay out this type of transparency on the bottle in a press release, this is what seasoned and kind of the whiskey geek loves to see. So, you know, High and Wicked for the most part right now, just before even tasting it, they get high marks from me on that aspect. All right, so this will be my first time trying this, and I did mention sweet mash process. I get questions about this all the time. Again, unlike sour mash, the sweet mash process does not use any backset during fermentation. So think of it like you're making sourdough bread. You use some of the old yeast to kind of kickstart your next batch of sourdough bread. So instead of using that backset, what distillers do is simply heat the grains with water, they add the yeast, and they let it ferment. Now, since the lack of that backset increases the risk of harmful bacteria growth, all equipment must be kept spotlessly clean to guard against bacterial contamination. It's a more expensive and tedious way of distillation, but if you do it right, you can produce a more flavorful distillate at a younger age. Wilderness Trail was known for doing this, Peerless was known for doing this, and they've been utilizing it for quite a while now. All right, so I'm gonna try that straight bourbon first. Again, you have a 39% rye content in this mash bill, which I'm really excited about. Again, non-chill filtered. It is 52% ABV, all the good stuff. So let's give it a try. First thing I get immediately is like a bananas Foster type note. Man, a little bit of citrus too from that high rye, I think. Good sweet oak, not overpowering. Again, you're only looking at least 5 years old. There's kind of like a bubblegum cotton candy thing going on. It's very sweet. That banana note I was getting right in the beginning is kind of, now that I'm diving in a little bit more in the glass, it's kind of going away. It's nice and sweet, but there's that citrus like background that I'm picking up as well. A little bit of baking spice in there, not a ton. All right, let's try it. This is classic bourbon flavors with a little bit of an uptick of sweetness. I think you get the really nice caramels, vanillas that you would expect, but that like little bubblegum, strawberry, citrusy type of notes that kind of intertwine with all that is really what's kind of coming to the forefront. What's interesting to me is that at 39% rye, I'm not getting the rye so much on the palate as I'm getting it on the finish. This has that pop rocks thing that I talk about, where it's got like this spice in the back of the palate that just kind of tingles and gives you all these like, you know, like these sensations of spice and black pepper. And this is like a black pepper corn. It's like fresh black pepper, which is really leaving this nice finish on the back of the palate. Man, good oak, good sweetness. I mean, do I wish it was a little bit more punchy? Yes. I do want a little bit more punch and sweetness on the front of the palate. I think where this thing is impressing me is the finish. The back half of the palate all the way to the finish on this is where it's most interesting. It has a heft to it as well, being non-chill filtered. I think it's got a nice viscosity to it. Man, the more this opens up, it's changing. It's really changing. More oak is coming out, more chocolate, a little hint of chocolate, not a lot though. But a lot of oak and that sweetness is still there. But I think all the sweetness I was getting in the beginning is now being bounced out a little bit more by that oak char. You totally pick it up. Okay, I like the finish on this. I like the viscosity, but I wish it had a little bit more punch of flavor, at least for me personally, on the front of the palate. But I think where it makes its money here for me is the finish. That 39% rye, I think gives it a long, lingering, spicy finish. Okay, next up, the cask strength. So this is the Sweet Mash cask strength bourbon, which as you can see from the close-ups has a little bit of a different type of look on the front of that label, but same details here. Distilled and aged and bottled in Kentucky, mash bill of 51 corn, 39 rye, and 10% malted barley. Sweet mash process, column distilled, aged for a minimum of 5 years in those number 4 char American white oak barrels. 125.89 proof on this one, non-chill filtered. Price, only $10 more than this one at 90 bucks. All right, so this one's been sitting out a little bit longer, so let's dive into this one, see if we get any big differences from the regular straight bourbon. So a big uptick here in proof. You're going from 104 all the way up to, you know, practically 126. You know, it's 125.89. All right, so let's go back here. You know, I'm still getting a little bit of like that banana in it, a little bit of Bananas Foster here. I really like the oak presence they're getting here from just a 5-year-old product, or at least 5-year-old product. A little bit sweeter. This one you're getting into a little bit more of a, dark caramel, dark vanilla, molassesy type thing going on, but not overly, you know, not overly done. Oh man, the rye in this is really opening up now in the straight bourbon. This is, oh man, this is becoming an orange creamsicle a little bit on the nose. Woo! A little bit of the same here. That Bananas Foster that I keep getting in the beginning of the nose is now transitioning into this beautiful like citrus, this big citrus note. Whereas this was like bright orange, this was like a darker, almost like a charred orange, like taking a slice of orange and putting it on a grill. Man, let's try this one, excited. So that flavor that was lacking on this one, on the 104 proof variant, is more pronounced here on the cask strength. Yeah, this one you're picking up a little bit of dark fruit here. That apple note is still there, but it's like a caramel apple. A little bit of that oak note. There is a dark fruit in here. I'm not gonna say cherry. I'm not sure what that is. That is a very impressive bourbon for the age. Get into these dark caramel vanilla notes with like a little punch, maybe a slight banana note to it, but then this dark fruit note comes in. It's got a really nice finish. Remember, it's still 39% rye in the cask strength, and I feel like with all the flavor in the front of the palate, the finish doesn't stand out as much like it did on the first one, but it still has a great long finish to it. When you think about other bourbons that hit the market at 4 and 5 years old, this is, from what I've had, this is pretty impressive. The one thing that stands out to me is it doesn't come off youthful at all. This tastes like a very, very well, I feel like you could fool someone into thinking that this bourbon is older than it is. Comes off very well-rounded, very rich, very full in flavor. I'm really curious how this is gonna open up a little bit here as it gets more airtime. And we're looking at the prices respectively here, 80 for the straight 104 proof, then you have the cask strength at 90. I think if you wanna try this brand at its fullest potential and what they're offering, just pay the extra 10 bucks and get the High and Wicked at 90 bucks. I think it's really that good. But even the $80, the straight bourbon, even at 104 proof is really pretty impressive too. Let me go back to it real quick. I mean, for both of them, and I don't want to kind of put it in a, you know, in a, like a comparison, but if I could, to me, it comes off a little bit like Old Forester / Barton-esque as far as a flavor profile goes. If I had to give you a, you know, kind of a wheelhouse of what these bourbons, where they kind of live when it comes to the flavor profile, at least in my opinion, I really do think they're very good. Overall though, if you want to spend the money and get in on a new brand, I think the cask strength is the way to go. I think it has the most going on, the most heft, the most spice. I think it's really impressive for the age. And I'm looking forward to seeing more from High and Wicked. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the new brand alert video as we took a look at High and Wicked. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. I do not know what the distribution on this is quite yet. I couldn't find any info as far as where they're gonna be available, but you know, go check out the website. It'll probably tell you where these are gonna be available if you wanna hunt them out and try them. But again, that cask strength I think is where it's at. And if any of you watching have any new brands that you want me to try, you haven't seen me review yet, leave them down in the comments below. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. Cheers, see you next time right here on The Mash and Drum. I'm gonna have more of this. Let's get wicked. Here we go, cheers.